talking about how to fight fatigue. And today I want to talk to you about stress management. I know it's something that we often don't want to talk about, but we need to. So, here's what I want you to think about. When you think about stress, not the good kind of stress, but the bad kind, the kind where we overcommit, we don't do what we're supposed to do, we wait until the last minute to do things, and then we're really freaked out. That stress right there. How do you deal with it? What triggers you? What makes you go, oh my gosh, this is so stressful and I hate it? That is what I want you to tap into and start evaluating. So I want you to do a brain dump and literally just write everything down that stresses you out. Once you've written those things down, then I want you to go back and organize it, meaning how important are the things that you're stressing out about? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how stressful is that thing for you? Once you've recognized, especially if those things that are really stressful are over the 5 mark, is it really important? Because if that's not something that's either going to benefit you in the long run, sometimes the short term, that's also important. But if it's not adding value to your life, or if it doesn't make you happy, I think you know what you need to do with it. Now, there are some instances where it's family or it's, going to an outing with friends. If you hate doing that thing, perhaps it might be time to figure out how to politely and strategically do something else or find an activity when you're hanging out with those people, especially with family. We can't always not hang out with them, but find a way to do something that you enjoy when you're with them. For me, I get up early in the morning and I exercise or I meditate, I pray, I journal, I do as much stuff that I like to do before everyone is getting up in the morning. And at night, sometimes I'll just go out and say, hey, I have a meeting or I need to set up something with a friend, but I actually kind of just take myself out on a date. It's fun. You should try it sometime. I guarantee you'll have a good time. So once you're starting to look at those things, figure out how you can improve the way that you manage your stress. And sometimes it has to do with the fact that we often set goals that are way too big. They're just too big. And that is why, even when I set goals in the beginning of the year, I also reevaluate them every single month. And if it's something that I'm not hitting, I look at that goal and say, is this too big for me? And then sometimes we're too close to it. So I go and I ask a friend, like, hey, what have you heard me talking about? And do you think that I'm actually progressing towards this goal? Because all of my friends know what my goals are and they call me out on it if I'm not working towards it or if I'm doing too much and trying to have too much to do. So I definitely involve people in my goal setting because it keeps me accountable as well. So look at your goals and evaluate them. If they're too big and you're trying to push yourself too much, naturally you're going to burn out from that and you're going to become fatigued. And I don't want that for you. So that's something else that you want to definitely take a look at. And then, how do you work? Meaning, are you a morning person? Do you perk up in the early afternoon or are you a night owl? And that is something that you want to take into account. A lot of times, if you work a 9 to 5, you know, you can't say I'm not going to work in the morning. That's just not how that goes. However, when you recognize where your peaks are in terms of your productivity, you can use that time to get the majority of your work done. So for example, I'm an early riser and I enjoy getting work done between 4 and 6 a.m. When I do that, it helps to set the tone for the day. And sometimes I do start on my 9 to 5 work during that time. So that way, by the time I get to work, especially if it's a heavy meeting day, I'm not worried and I don't have that thing in the back of my mind because I've already either started on it or finished it really, really quickly. And I know that not everyone's a list person, but sometimes you just need to write things down and prioritize it. That is why I absolutely love my productivity planner. And I'm always making sure that if it's a task that I can just knock out right away, I knock it out. I try very hard not to keep those things on my list. Or once I realize I have something on that list and it's too big, again, I break that thing up over the week so that I can actually manage and get it done. So once you realize, okay, do I work well or better in the morning, afternoon, or evening? All right. Then I need to prioritize what I'm doing in terms of importance. But the last thing, I hate to say this one, but you need to learn how to say no. Mhm. I've practiced it, I've done it a lot. And the way that I've gotten better at it is I say no in the mirror often. And if you're like, saying no, tell the person, that's a great thing. I really appreciate you thinking about me. Let me get back to you. And that way, you actually have time before you can say, yeah, sure, I'll do that, and then overwhelm yourself and get stressed out. My mentor, Shalene Johnson, said that one time, and she is like the most brilliant person ever because of it. And that has really helped me to manage my stress. And you know when you're about to overcommit when someone says something to you and your heart starts to race, and then like your neck gets hot and your face gets all prickly and you start to sweat, or maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just me. It's okay. But I want you to understand and start paying more attention to those things that trigger you. And also just write down a list of the stuff that just you actually like to do. And if it's something that you like to do a lot, sprinkle those activities in throughout the day so that you're not constantly like, oh my God, this is the worst day ever. This is the worst. I hate this. And that way you can, for example, I work for 45 minutes and then I take 15 minutes off, or I work for 50 minutes and take 10 minutes off. But that 10 minutes, I get up, I go for a walk, I go and I might talk to a coworker, or I might check on my dad and see how he's doing, or I'll take that time to go outside. Try to find ways to break up your day so that it's not so monotonous and it doesn't give you that opportunity to focus on the things that are stressing you out.